Hello, everybody. It's 2:48 p.m. Central Time on the 5th of September, 2022. It's Monday here in the United States. It's Labor Day, the holiday here in the States as well. And it's also my anniversary with my wife, 19 years. I hope you're all doing well. Just doing a quick update for you. Let me get a display capture turned on here. We're going to go look at the earthquakes which have struck since my update yesterday. Now, since doing the update yesterday, a lot has happened. First of all, yesterday a 7 struck here right in the middle of the mid-Atlantic ridge on our letter X, and on the opposite side of the planet we had a 6.1 from the day before, and that was the topic of my video in the day before. Again, 6.1 on one side of the planet, and on the exact antipode, the opposite side of the planet, we have that 7, that's 6.9. Since then, here's what's happened. Major outbreak of 6.0 level activity. We had a 6.2 down here at Point Nemo, down on the letter X, South Pacific, 6.2. Then followed by a big earthquake over in China, 6.6 to 6.8. And it caused some serious damage in China. That was yesterday and last night after I did my update. 2 more 6s struck. Then a third 6.1 struck, which has now been downgraded to 5 point something. I don't know exactly where it is. If you check Volcano Discovery, it shows it as 6.1 north of New Zealand. And we could check the New Zealand agency, but whatever. Okay, so we're dealing with multiple 6s striking since yesterday, since doing my update. And the spots that were struck, let's just get all the smaller earthquakes out of here and show you what we're talking about here. That the spots which were struck: China, New Zealand, Point Nemo, and we're not done yet, guys. Iran has been hit by a 5.3 to 5.4. You may remember yesterday in my update, we were talking about 5.3s around the planet, and that is not an exaggeration. We had 5.3 off the coast of Japan. We had a 5.3 to 5.4 up north in the Kuril Islands. We had a 5.3 to 5.4 over here at New Caledonia. Another 5.3, which is the most recent quake, which is actually a 6.1 on many other agencies, down here at New Zealand. We had a 5.3 in Greece, and we have a 5.3 here in Iran now. Now that just fully fulfills the forecast for a spread heading over to Europe and going through the Mideast at the moment. Right now, you can see it. Again, a mid-range 5 and a big damaging earthquake over here at the plate boundary over in China. Now, I would also like to look at something else. This earthquake in China is smack in the middle in between our two 5.1s if you go around the bend of the plate boundary. And let me show that to you on the USGS plate boundary map so you can understand what I mean by halfway point between those two 5.1s. So we'll jump over here, take a look. All right, the 6.6 is here in China. Let me zoom in just ever so slightly. 6.6 here in China, and then we have 5.1 on one side all the way over here at Afghanistan, and we have a 5.1 back down here, back down in Indonesia. Let's go compare. There it is. 5.1 over in Indonesia, 5.1 over on the plate boundary at Afghanistan. We go around the curved bend of the plate, and this is the halfway point between those two quakes. And that's exactly what just broke. Now, the size of the quake is determined by the size of the wave spreading out from the West Pacific, and we know what size that is now. It's going again in the upper 6 range, going to the edge of the plate boundary between the Indo-Australian plate, Indo-Australia, going up into Asia, and it's right where the two meet, right on the edge of it. If you follow the mountain range over to the east, you can even see it. It's color-coded here in brownish versus light tan. Brown is higher mountains, and light tan is more highlands. But you can see it goes up and around and goes, this is the Himalayan range, up and around through China and over to the west. So what do you think about that? Multiple 6s striking since yesterday's update, where half the planet, well, actually the whole planet, from one side to the other, from one half to the other half, started to move yesterday on a near 7.0 basis, followed today by multiple 6s striking across and damaging earthquake over in China and a flow heading out towards Europe as expected. And when I say as expected, you really need to go watch my video from yesterday where I told you that was going to happen. And now here it is, and I'm not bragging or anything. I just got to tell you. I mean, who's going to get on and tell you if it hits or not, right? Let's go talk about Europe and the United States as well. So down in South Europe, we're waiting for a 6 to come rolling in here, right in the middle where all these rings overlap, in the middle of the Aegean Sea, on the back end of our red arrow that goes up to the north and kind of snakes around the outside edge of Europe, going up into Ukraine and so forth. But I want to talk about this one right here, Germany, right at the border with my people, Holland. But it's in the German side of the border there, and we talk about a flow going around the outside edge of Europe. Look where it is. It's in the middle of our arrow. So this is heading towards the UK, which is ultimately heading out towards the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, and that's where the other earthquake is, out at the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, 5.1, the other earthquake worth mentioning. So 5.1 out at the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Wait a second. Where else did I hear about a 5 in Europe in the past day and a half, 2 days? We had a 5.3 down here on the plate boundary in Crete, in Greece. Now let me show you how these are connected. So it's not that one earthquake causes the other. It's that both of these earthquakes, the one down in Greece and the one out on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, are both caused by a flow which goes across the plate boundaries, trying to seek a way out to the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. So let's just go show you the quakes again really quick. So this one struck first, 5.3 down at Crete, followed today by this 5.1 over here on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Connecting between the two, a bunch of small earthquakes that mimic out the craton edge and the plate boundary. So the plate boundary is this red line you see on the screen here. It comes across North Africa, goes out to the T intersection at the Azores. And then the craton, USGS doesn't have jack squat showing on their map, but here on ours, you can definitely see it. Well, maybe you can't with all the quakes on there. Hold on. There we go. The mountain ranges themselves show the edge of the craton. It's like a backwards S shape here going through Poland and Romania. Goes across North Europe and right out through where the arrow is and where the earthquake is. The new earthquake in Germany, North Germany, which is pretty rare for us to get any earthquake activity in North Germany or Holland. Only when there's a push going around the outside edge of Europe does this happen. And there is a push going around the outside edge of Europe. Look at all the activity that's flowing all the way to the north already over the past few days. Not to mention Iceland erupted last week. But now that you've seen that, back to the plate boundary map, the earthquakes are going right out here through South Europe, through Gibraltar, breaking off and going down to actually the Canary Islands, and then back up to the Azores and the North Mid-Atlantic Ridge. So that's the flow. That's the way it's trying to go. Anything else worth mentioning here before we move on? Hold on. Just checking and seeing if any other earthquakes have struck worth mentioning. Okay. So now we jump over across, and with this activity down at Point Nemo, down at our letter X, with this activity over across the West Pacific going out towards Asia, with a 6.9 to 7.0 earthquake out at the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, which is extremely rare. Only when there's a big push do we see our X's light up like that. I have to look back here where it's coming from. The 6.9's worth of energy flowed across here over the past several days, which I can show it to you here. The earthquakes marked in pink and red over the past several days. Now look what's happened in the last day and a half to 2 days. I mean, it's pretty quiet along the coast of northern South America where the energy flowed from. So this all built up, flowed out, new break. Now we have a new incoming push. Now, it's a 4.6. Doesn't look that big, right? Think of this like a train going across a bridge. And when it gets to the end of the bridge, it's going to be hitting a hard right angle. You know, trains have to go around bends, don't you? They can't make a hard right turn. But let me just go ahead and show you what's coming across and where it's going to hit. The wave is coming across from down below the plate. A giant, very low frequency or ultra low frequency wave, many hundreds if not thousands of miles apart between each peak, coming up through the plate and spreading out. As it comes up and spreads out, it hits this plate boundary over to the east, Nazca Plate. Goes up to the north, Cocos Plate, down to the south towards Antarctica. You see where it splits, the plate boundaries. That's the way the earthquakes go. And we're right here on this zigzag north and south facing fracture zone, which if we go back to the USGS map, it's right here, you can see it. And the flow is going to be going to the north and then to the east. Path of least resistance this wave will take. Up, north, and east, and around again. But what does this 4.6 also mean is, it also means there's a flow coming to the south. We just haven't seen a break yet here on our southern arrow. Now, meanwhile, all the way down south, coming across the very southern tip of the plate. Let's go back down and look. Down here, Point Nemo and so forth, coming across and going across the Antarctic plate boundary. So we have two different things going on. One coming across this way, up to the north, and one coming across down to the south. In between the two, you see it goes down to South Chile. And let's just go and see what's going on in South Chile. Pretty quiet. 4.9 and a 4.6. Up to the north of 4.6. In the past, we've seen dozens and dozens of 4s, multiple 5s striking a day. So for it to be in the 4 range, while all this is going on, this is way, way low for South America. Going up into Central America even. Check out Central America in the last day. The pink earthquakes are from yesterday. One white-colored earthquake today, 2.8. That's either artificially low, either the feeds are omitting the quakes, or they've fallen off the feed, there hasn't been any in a couple hours. Anyway, Mexico is quiet. Central America is quiet. In comparison to the rest of the planet, it's got to catch up. Same with the United States. And I'll get into the U.S. in a second. So the big earthquake activity we're seeing going over to China should also go over to South America. It's already gone around over to the X, so South America is under some serious stress. Now, we can determine our areas to watch by looking between our current sets of earthquakes. If we go around the bends of the plate here, for instance, from Central America, where this earthquake is off the coast of Costa Rica, and we go down to where this earthquake is down to the south on the, interior portion of Peru, that the halfway point between the two comes in somewhere right here, actually, if you go around the bends of the plate. If you were to straighten this out into a straight line, it'd be really easy to determine what the halfway point is. But you see it. It goes around and bends and comes back down to the south, and that's what we're looking at here. I just remembered somebody. People were telling me they couldn't see my cursor on the screen, and I just wanted to show you guys that my cursor is being captured. It's just super small. A lot of complaints. I can't do. I'm on the wife's computer, guys. I'd have to upload new cursors or something. So turn on the old person's view or something so we get sorry, not geriatric discrimination or anything. I'm 45. 46 at the end of the month. Anyway, so 4.6 coming across the ocean. What ironic. So 4.6 coming across. It's going to be hitting like a train hitting into a dead end on a track that is not supposed to have a dead end. It's going to be a big impact. So big impact there, and I would think it would be about the same size as what's going across over to China. So this would mean in the mid-range 6 level is coming back to South America, northern South America. Now Central America, over in Mexico, same thing applies, but I would look for a half magnitude less. I think most of the energy, you can see it, most of the energy is coming across to the south right now, and it's impacting into South America, going around it over to our X this way. South Sandwich Islands, completely quiet, no earthquake activity, 4.0 or greater reported in 2 days. Let's go back 3 days. Hold on. 4 days. 4 days ago, a 4.7 reported. Oh, that's going to change. Look what's coming across to the south, 6.2, 6-ish. So that means 6 down here. If 6 is coming across, 6 is going to be tail ending over to the east, over at the South Sandwich. Let me show you on the plate boundary map here. 6s are coming across, going to be going up, down, underneath the plate boundary, and come over here to the edge of the Antarctic plate, meeting into the South Atlantic. Energy transfers, the wave transfers, following these like an avenue. So it all started yesterday. We saw it start to take place. I made my video, and now this has all taken place since. That's a lot to happen in a day. Now let's go over and look at the United States United States. We have a warning now going in Northern California and Southern California. Two different things I'm going to look for. One, I'm going to look for a 5.9, well, mid-range to upper 5, if they even report the earthquakes out there, to strike out on the ocean. Not a big deal. Nobody should even feel it. Should be way out here, hundreds of miles off the coast of Oregon, or Washington, I should say, Oregon-Washington border, right out here at the pinnacle tip of the Juan de Fuca fracture zone. Up here. Do you see it? The Juan de Fuca. The jagged edges actually belong to the Pacific Plate over here. So the Pacific Plate has these jagged edges that push into the Juan de Fuca. Anyway, out at the pinnacle tip of it, that's where we're going to watch for a new mid-range to upper 5, just to be in line with the rest of the planet. I mean, I don't see why the United States would be immune to the rest of the planet's seismic activity, unless we got some kind of earthquake-absorbing machine, or some person at the office decides they don't want to show it, right? Like, I mean, that happens too, by the way. Anyway, let's go over and we're going to tell you where to watch right here at the pinnacle tip for 5.9. Then we're going to look for 4s, upper 4s, to go across California and over to Texas. And the spots in California are plural. We have several spots we're going to see get hit. This includes Southern California, going from Lompoc over to Ridgecrest. This also includes Central California along the coast. This is up by Monterey Bay. And this also includes Northern California, right at Eureka, going into the California border with Oregon. All three areas, and the California-Nevada border over at Long Valley, going to Monte Cristo Hills Volcanic Buttes over in Nevada, California-Nevada border. Okay, those locations for certain are going to be getting hit by something bigger than what's on the screen now. So if we're looking at 3 to 3.5, sorry, I almost sneezed in the microphone, 3 to 3.5, then we're going up a whole notch from where we are now. That's 4 to 4.5 at each spot, plus the 5.9, or 5.5 to 5.9 out off the coast. Alaska is also due for a major increase from where we are. Now, again, your earthquake veterans up there, and I cracked some jokes last night, guys. People told me not to get political. I was just joking around, guys. I don't give two shits what's going on up there. But seriously, earthquake-wise, I care. And we're looking at 6.0 level activity coming in just next to Anchorage. When I say next to, I mean to the south of, where the two sets of rings overlap. We have a bay or a harbor that goes into Anchorage here. I'm going to look just south, northeast of Kodiak, out in the ocean on the plate boundary. And it should be in the 6 to 6.2 level, just like the rest of the planet. If the South Pacific is going, the North Pacific is going, the whole planet is going. Denying that is asinine at this point. And it was obvious yesterday when I made my video. I'm surprised more seismic professionals don't just finally wise up and come out and start warning people and their viewers and their students and so forth, and just telling them, like, look, earthquakes on opposite sides of the planet, near 7.0 on one side and a 6 point something on the other. They're exact antipodes. And in the middle is the core of the earth. Something's going on. We need to watch for some more activity to come out. And it's not that big of a leap to start to see the connection here. Anyway, we have a spread of 6s going across the planet, not to be ignored after yesterday's 7s and the spread taking place. United States is not immune. We should see it off the coast and then come into California, going over to Texas, which I didn't even issue the warning for yet. In Texas, on the plate boundary, on the Craton edge in Texas. This is West Texas going up north to Amarillo, in between these two sets of quakes here. Now, if you took the time to go look up all these quakes, which we should do, you will find that they are at oil pumping operations. Now, Texas is known for this, for their drill points. The number of drill points is pretty shocking when you look in and actually find out there's millions of drill points. And perforation points in a piece of stone or a giant plate pretty much all do the same thing. They transfer energy to the weak point, where there's an open gap or a missing space in the stone. Perforations, you understand how they work. You've bent a cardboard box before, haven't you? Even multiple layers thick, whether it's stone or cardboard or whatever layers you're working with. When you perforate, wood even, it becomes more bendable and more plious where the bend points fold at the drill points. And then those solid points break if you apply enough pressure. Anyway, looking at the screen here, I'm already seeing a bunch of pumping operations right here over to the west. Now, they have some topography here that's pretty darn interesting. Hashtag Tartaria. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the drill points that they've done at each spot. Now, it makes you wonder, how are there dinosaurs and plant matter that's fuel or oil down thousands and thousands of feet in the ground? Is there subduction happening here that we don't know about? I propose to you that oil is not biotic. It's not created by plant matter and old compressed animals. That's what I propose to you. It's called abiotic oil, not biological oil. It's formed by something else. What? Well, we could get into the core of the earth and what's down below the plates and everything else. Hashtag Tartaria again. Well, we could just ask the people who went down there a few hundred years ago and didn't come back up. And journey to the center of the earth, you know, it's the Morlocks and Gorlock or whatever. The Borg. We'll go to the center of the earth. We're going to find the freaking Borg down there. So, do you have an earthquake plan now that you know that there's a spread of 6s going on, now that you know a 6 is coming in, or upper 5, coming in on the coast of California, now that you know 4s are going to be coming across California, including Southern California, Lompoc, over to Ridgecrest? Now that we know this is getting ready to happen, and you can see the spread that's taking place, it's not a question. Is there a spread taking place? But yesterday there was some question, right? I made my video. I said, oh, it might be a spread. And then boom, here we are today, and the spread is not only taking place, it is super obvious that we have a stepping stone path of 6s going all the way around the planet, and only a few spots missing to fill in the middle points to make it almost a perfect distribution across the whole planet. Now, if you're in the West Pacific, when stuff like this starts to happen, we have to be aware of the potential for large earthquake activity that's a step above what we are at now. So if we're at 6.6 and 6.1 in the West Pacific, 6.2 down at Point Nemo, and a 6.9 over in the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, the potential to go up to 7 to 7.9 is there, to go 1 magnitude larger. I mean, again, if we're dealing with a 6.1 and a 6.6, I would think we could go up to 7.1 and 7.6 in between where the current 6s are. And then that reduces our areas down to watch. We watch between our sets of 6s, halfway points between the two. And if you just drew a straight line between these two, between the 6.6 and the 6.1, the halfway point would bring us right in here into central Philippines. If we go around the bend of the plate, then the halfway point puts us right down here at the S-shaped plate boundary. You can kind of see it here marked out in the actual topography in the ocean. Or bathymetry topography. Topography is on the surface, bathymetric is undersea, whatever. So we go around the bend of the plate here, you can see it, and the halfway point comes in right here. Again, if you go around Papua New Guinea, around Indonesia, and up into Asia, it's putting us somewhere maybe as far southwest as East Timor and Bali, and as far east as the letter D. But right in the middle is where we watch. So the potential to go up into the 7-ish range is there, and I would want the people in Indonesia to know, because anytime anything above a 6 that strikes in Indonesia, it gets people, scrambling out of buildings that are stone stack and not exactly built to U.S. building code kind of thing. It's Indonesia, right? So they come out of their buildings, their stone stack and their cinder block. They come running out. They're trained to put their hands over their heads to protect them from falling debris, but people still get injured. It's in 6.0 level. When 7s hit, it's straight up knocking over walls. You've got buildings collapsing, and that's in Indonesia. And that could even be in the United States when you get a 7. So I'm looking for this to all take a step up unless something changes. If something changes and it looks like it's going to be calming down, I'll get back on and make another video. The flow is heading to Europe right now. There's our new quake. You can see it is, again, one more time. It is, guys, it is a stepping stone path leading right to your doorstep over in Europe, over here in Indonesia, heading over to South America and the United States. high and dry and quiet when the rest of the world's going overdrive. Yeah, okay, I would think the seismic check is in the mail. It's coming to us. It's going to be about a magnitude less than what is around the rest of the plate as usual, but that still puts us into the 5 range. If we're dealing with 6s around the rest of the plate, that puts us at 5s in the U.S., usually. If we're dealing with 7s around the plate, we're dealing with then 6s in the U.S. We're dealing with 8s around the plate, then we're dealing with sometimes 7s in the United States. So we're usually usually always, right? Is that even a thing? We're usually 1 magnitude under what the rest of the Pacific plate is doing in the United States because we are the last to receive the flow around the entire Pacific. Okay, there you go. I'm saving this as a video, and we were going to, I guess, put this on YouTube since I can't stream anymore. Wife's computer is coming in handy right now, guys. It really is. All others got hacked and bricked. And on that note, let me remind you, don't be scared. You need to be prepared. And you need to know what to do when an earthquake strikes. I can't stress that enough. It's so basic, but people run around, scream earthquake. Everybody already knows an earthquake's happening, so you don't have to run around and scream it. Instead, you're supposed to take shelter underneath a table or a desk. USGS calls it drop, cover, and hold on. And I would say that's pretty wise. Now, the running out of the building thing is if your building's collapsing or you think it's going to. And it's not wise, ever, even overseas where they tell their people to do it. If you're running outside, I mean, you should have a pre-designated place to go, kind of like a fire drill, where you know what's around you, power line-wise, things that can fall off building-wise, sewer lines, gas lines, sinkholes, just a water main, all kinds of. You have to know what's around your location if you're going to go outside. Inside, it's underneath table or desk. Outside, you got to know. That's my best advice on location. Now, you can all have the emergency kit thing covered. It's pretty easy. It's a backpack or a bag, and it contains your set of clothes and a set of shoes and those sorts of things. Make sure it's seasonal specific. Flashlight, batteries, make sure that's all covered. You don't want to have to use your phone for the flashlight when you're going to be needing it for communication in a day or 2 days, and you might not have power. That's another thing you have to think about, those little pocket solar panel charger things and so forth. I'll tell you something I thought of. I'll just give you an idea of things, how you can be innovative. So the solar panel thing and the charging battery thing, it's a real pain in the ass to carry that stuff around, and it could break. How many are you going to have? Well, I was looking in my front yard, and we've got those little cheap solar lights. I think I bought them at like Lowe's or Home Depot here in the States, a hardware store. They're all over the world. They're these little battery-powered solar charging lights that you put along your driveway or your sidewalk or in your garden. Anyway, if you look inside of them, they all got a AA or a AAA battery that's a rechargeable that comes with the thing. But anyway, you can use them to recharge your batteries. In a day's time, put them out in the sun. It's charged the battery by night, enough to use it at least. Might take 2 days to fully charge it. But still, cheap solar charging. And how many people have those in their yards? I mean, if shit hits the fan, pardon my language, you could theoretically walk down the road. I'm not saying to steal, return it after you're done, but you could gaffle a couple and, somebody's yard, somebody who's bugged out and left, some rich asshole who's left everything at their house and it's in their front yard, a little solar charger. Most people walk right by them. They won't even think about it. Anyway, all right. That's just an idea. Another idea that you can do that's really cheap, a set of shoes by the side of your bed or hard bottom slippers so you don't turn into Bruce Willis from Die Hard and Hans Gruber. You got broken glass all across the floor from an earthquake and it's middle of the night, it's dark. Think about it. So why not have a set of shoes by the side of the bed? Could make a big difference also for any other thing, for anything from a home intruder to a fire to an evacuation for a flood suddenly or a storm, a tornado's coming in. And you got the shoes by the side of your bed. Wow. It'll make a difference if you don't have them. These are just little basic things. Food and water is going to be something that you'll take care of. I'm sure you'll figure something out on that. Good luck, right? The food is going to be pretty easy. The water thing, I don't know. Look how long I've gone on. We're sitting here at a black screen, and I'm just telling you advice. All right, time to upload. Peace out, and much love.